Hello, my little magical muffins. In today's video, I want to one more time touch on making syrups. I had somebody from TikTok recommend making a cinnamon syrup, so I'm actually going to be testing this out. And I'm just steeping some cinnamon sticks in H2O. You can use sun water, moon water, whatever. I know I have my hair down, just fucking chill, okay? Making syrups is really easy, and it's been very rewarding for me to give as an offering to different spirits, demons, you know, whatever that you work with. But all you have to do is put equal parts of your liquid to sugar. Now keep in mind that I'm using stuff like coffee right now, and then we're trying out the cinnamon, which it should work. Cinnamon is hydrophobic, so powdered cinnamon won't work for this. Teas and coffees and such will work really fine. I think that the only things that you might have a few complications with is possibly things with a lot of bromelain in them, like pineapple, because it breaks down, and it is high in sugar as it is, but I don't work with pineapple often because it's a very finicky ingredient, believe it or not. But I've been making syrups lately and using those for offerings to add to tea or to add to coffee or just to garnish desserts, and you can keep them in the fridge for up to 6 months. They'll last longer, to be honest. It's sugar. And then all you do is like, okay, I upcycle barbecue sauce jars. And yes, I know how to make my own motherfucking barbecue sauce with my eyes closed from different regions of America. I just need help sometimes. Damn, I'm a mom. Any type of bottle will work, right? And what you just, the key is to make sure that your syrup is cooled down completely. If you're not a witch or a spiritualist or a occultist, people are going to think, what the fuck is moon sugar? You know, moon sugar. But I like to charge sugar under different types of moon phases and use them for my magical workings. In terms of just like general deity offerings or that sort of stuff, full moon is fine. We can make good luck syrups and use like the waxing moon, or if you want to get rid of something, you can use the waning moon. For the new moon, for me, I'm not a big like anti-manifester on the full moon and you have to do it on the new moon. That only applies to certain cultures, so it doesn't apply to me. If I feel like I'm vibing with the full moon, then I'm going to manifest on it. If I feel like it's time to just rest, I'm going to listen to spirit and I'm going to listen to myself. For me personally, the new moon is about self-reflection and personal development, shadow work, you know, that sort of stuff. That's just something that's in correlation of my path. But you do you. My rules don't apply to your path, and it's none of my business what you do. Now, I really like the idea of using your kitchen to be discreet about your craft, because there have been people on 2 out of 3 platforms that have told me that they can't because it's against the law. I've had multiple people tell me that they can't because their parents are very strict and they live at home. I've heard a lot of interesting stories, so it's really inspired me to want to help with those areas. And another one is food waste. This was an already brewed coffee, and within the hour, please, you don't need to save coffee grounds overnight. It'll be stale, not suited for offerings in my opinion. But a second brew, twice as long for your coffee, it'll be a little bit more mild. We'll make a syrup out of this. That way there's no food waste. And you can even use the coffee grounds for like a body scrub or face scrub. I've been doing that for like 20 years personally. The most important part, you guys, is to make sure that before you bottle everything up, that it is completely cooled down. You don't want to crack your vessel that you're using. This is going to get scrubbed and cleaned and sterilized. Cleansing. I don't recommend using incense smoke if you're going to be ingesting this product, and I definitely don't recommend just blowing in it, because you can cleanse things very easily. The breath of a witch cleanses things. It's unsanitary to do so for food. So I just put a little moon water in and just dump it out that way. You can use selenite to cleanse the jar, but don't like leave it in there, because that's not edible. And you know, I've seen some crazy shit on TikTok, including gypsum tea. Please don't do that. Speaking of crystals though, in coffee, which is still brewing, coffee is the kitchen's quartz crystal. It amplifies things. You can use them to strengthen your spell work, especially if you don't have crystals. And I know crystals are very expensive right now because they're like the it thing. And then we have to keep into account ethical practices in fossicking those crystals. So this is a great alternative, and it's inexpensive and it's discreet. And a lot of deities, spirits, ancestors love coffee. A lot of people who do ancestral work and working with demons will give them coffee offerings. I definitely do that in my household. So I think that I'll be using more cinnamon though for this tea. I take it all back. What I'm going to do with the cinnamon in particular is I'm going to put it on low heat, and I'm going to steep the cinnamon sticks on the stove instead of brewing it like a tea, because even though as a tea, it's a very delicate flavor and it's fantastic, I use it all the time, I want to extract a little more potency from the cinnamon bark. I'm going to let this kind of simmer for about 10 minutes and then we're going to check up on it. Like a tablespoonish of like cinnamon bark for, you know, per cup, and you can use, like I said, sun water. You don't have to use charged waters, but they will make a difference. It's just those added layers. It's kind of like cooking professionally. You use simple, good quality ingredients and techniques and add little things. You know, it's a balancing act with magic, just like it is with cooking. To be honest, there's a lot in common with the two that I've noticed. So one of my goals on this channel is to get you guys your culinary arsenal for your magical workings and to get you more comfortable in the kitchen. So if I'm doing a lot of syrups and salts and basic things and people are like, hey, we want to see the super pizzazz, I will do more adept stuff in the near future. I'm happy to. I also want people to feel like being in their kitchen is approachable. It's you know, I've had decades of experience of cooking professionally and as a mom and a wife, and all the matriarchs in my family line have been excellent cooks as well. So I have had a lot of hands-on experience since I was very little with cooking, and it led me to here. But I don't want you guys to feel intimidated. And I hear all of these sorts of things. I hear these things often. I hear you guys. And you guys say, I want to be a kitchen witch, but I don't know what the hell I'm doing. I don't know how to cook. You don't need to know how to cook. That will happen on its own. It's like when you started your craft, or if you're starting out, there's multiple worlds, to be honest, ahead of you. And it's just a path that you take day by day, step by step. And then the more in tune you get and the more happy you get and the more you're vibing, it's going to be all right. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my coffee. I'm going to steep this. I haven't used instant coffee for making syrups, so I don't know if it would work. I don't see why it wouldn't, but it probably would be a bit stale and stagnant sort of tasting. I personally wouldn't. And look, just because I'm chefy and I know my shit doesn't mean I don't drink instant coffee sometimes. I am also a very busy and tired woman, okay? But in my experience, not that it is equivalent to a blood offering. You know, I use pomegranate syrup. It's not a substitute. Your energetic imprint is going to be very powerful compared to anything, but a lot of people don't feel comfortable, or you don't have the means, all that sort of stuff, right? We'll get into that another time. Using syrups as offerings has been very, very helpful, and I usually garnish things or sweeten teas with them, and everybody loves them. Food scarcity is a very important issue globally. I don't wish for this channel to be targeted toward an audience that can just buy all this fancy stuff and make it happen. Like, it should be accessible for everybody. And one thing that people do tell me online is that they are not in the position to be able to give food offerings because of food scarcity. And that is a very sensitive topic. I've been down that road as a young adult as well, and a new mom. So I've been there. I know that feeling. So I want to make sure that I'm able to give some tips so you can make that happen. And even if you don't use it for an offerings, but just for yourself or for your own workings, your own potions that you can ingest, we can do that very easily. Go back to the moon sugar real quick, because this is kind of something that I just clicked in my own head and spirit told me and I started doing, and some people are like, what? You know, on TikTok, everybody's like, I've never heard of that before, you're just making shit up. From like a scientific standpoint that I'm not qualified to really talk about because I'm not a fucking scientist, sugar is a crystalline, and there are a lot of things that have crystalline properties that we charge under the full moon. So I thought, well, why the fuck not? You know, makes sense, and it has been working for me. So you can get really creative with that sort of stuff. You can use it for love spells. If you want to make a rose syrup, which I probably should do, to be honest, because I have some fairy roses that are starting to bloom in my front garden. You can make a rose syrup and use it for offerings. You can do it for love spells. Like, there's so much potential with just this sort of stuff. Equal parts. So 1 cup of tea or coffee to 1 cup of sugar. On low heat, let it dissolve in a small saucepan, and then let it reduce at least in half, which will take about an hour or so. I'm going to save it for there right now, guys, and I hope you enjoyed this quick tutorial, and stay tuned. Next week I'll have something even better. And that's it for now, and I will talk to you guys very soon.